Josh, thanks for agreeing to spend some time with us. I know you guys are playing Reading and Leeds Fest, and you're playing Leeds tonight. How has it been for you guys playing festivals in the UK?
It's been awesome. I think this is our third time doing Reading and Leeds, and yeah, when Tyler and I first started playing music, actually even before we started playing music together, we were just like hanging out. We would just watch footage of band sets at festivals, and especially like these UK ones were always kind of like a goal for us to play. Yeah. And so we worked really hard. And I think even sometimes at smaller shows, kind of traveling around the States or even where we're from in Ohio, kind of put ourselves at Reading and Leeds in our minds while we're like kind of like playing. That was kind of like the goal. So it was really cool to headline Reading last night and play Leeds tonight. Yeah, it's pretty special.
Well, I remember seeing you in 2016, and my gosh, that was an amazing set. I remember you've got the stage show down to a T. Like, it's probably one of the best stage shows I've ever seen, and I've been to Leeds Fest at least 10 times.
Really?
So yeah. And really, I think your stage show is what defines you guys as a band. Obviously, you've got great music, but as the stage shows are progressing, how do you guys usually come up with the ideas? Like, how do you want to perform to the audience?
Well, I think Tyler and I have been to shows, and I think that kind of it's tough because you want to like stand there and enjoy it, but at the same time you're kind of taking notes. Yeah. So there's a lot of kind of like takeaway and conversation after that. That's kind of like, what did we like and what did we not like? A lot of times we'll have conversations about the things that we didn't love about the show, or like things that we would have done or said different.
Quite critique yourselves quite a lot.
Yeah. And kind of looking at like other people's performance and ours too, and thinking what does our show need, or what haven't we seen before, and I think even watching our own sets back on YouTube, we watch footage of our own concerts, just to try and learn. Yeah. And I mean, even on the drums, like I'll kind of like do something I think is cool or interesting, and then go watch it back later, and I'm like, that wasn't cool at all. No. I thought it was cool, but it wasn't. And so I think trying to just be self-aware, and then I don't know, a lot of ideas will happen while we're just kind of like hanging out in a hotel room or a bus somewhere. And we're just kind of always talking about the show and how to try to make it better, and take away things that don't feel as strong and replace them with kind of maybe more interesting or exciting things.
That's cool. I mean, you guys obviously put a lot of research and thought into your stage show. And as a result, you're probably one of the most, if not the most influential drummer of like the modern era. And being that, you could have probably chosen anybody that could have endorsed you, but you've been with SJC since 2012?
Yeah.
How's that working out for you? Why did you choose SJC over other brands?
Well, I originally was not, I was kind of thinking that I probably just wouldn't get endorsed by a company, and I actually, for a while, I was really close to just kind of building my own drums.
Oh, really?
I was really interested in that, and pricing out shells and,
looking at bearing edges.
Yeah, and because you can even buy some that are pre-drilled and have bearing edges already cut and everything, which is probably where I would have started out, and then eventually tried to kind of go all from scratch. But Mike from SJC kind of reached out through a mutual friend and really wanted to do something. And at the time there was like I mean, nobody was really interested, but there might have been 1 or 2 other drum companies that just weren't really enticing. I mean, they just weren't, I don't know.
Did you feel like they took a leap of faith by taking you on?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, we weren't doing anything at the time, but Mike was like super excited from the very beginning, and I think that it felt really organic how our relationship started. I was, you know, like through a friend is always cool, and we had cool conversations, and they're so creative over there, and we've just kind of been friends since day one, and really any idea that you come up with, they'll make it happen and even like make it cooler.
And how do you usually go around, like you've got a signature line. How did you decide how to integrate your sound and your look with SJC? Did they do a lot of like products, like did they show you a couple of like demos, like a couple of demo snares? Or did you have like a design in mind and they made it happen?
Yeah, so the drum kit that I'm using right now on tour is kind of like it's our like floral camo.
Yeah.
That we
trench camo.
Yeah, the trench camo that kind of is sort of thematic throughout our record and our visuals, and I felt like I wanted that to be kind of the pattern of the drum kit that I'm using, and so I sent them the graphic that I wanted to use, and I guess I originally was kind of just thinking that it would be like a rap, but Mike knows that I love to play acrylic drums.
Yeah, I've
seen. So he was like, I really want to print this on an acrylic drum, but that's really, really hard to do. So I can't guarantee that we can make it happen. And I was like, all right, well, it can be a rap. It's, you know, if that's a lot easier, I think you just print that out and stick it onto the drums, basically. That's how most drums are. It's like a wood shell with like a wrap, some sort of design or maybe whatever, you know, a color.
So you weren't tempted to get like a laser etched drum kit or anything like that?
No, I mean, we'll see in the future. I'm always like looking around at other people's drums and what other people have going on and having ideas, but he came back to me and was like, we figured it, we got it printed on the acrylic. So I mean, like I said, they're even kind of like, they go above and beyond just to make it as cool as possible.
Anything's customizable with SJC.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of interest in our custom SJC page, so they're doing things right, obviously.
Yeah.
Would you have any advice for someone, say it's like a kid's just got some birthday money and they want to get their own custom SJC, what kind of things would you tell them to do? Like what steps should they take?
Well, I think I've always just loved the idea of people learning and getting into music. Like, there was nothing more cool than the day that I figured out how to separate my limbs and you know, like play a drum beat.
Your head clicks.
Yeah, it is. Like I was fascinated with drums, but for a long time I would sit down and I just couldn't figure it out. You know, there is that like breakthrough that happens. I guess maybe not with all. Some drummers are just come out of the womb and are shredding. But it took me a long time to figure it out, so we walked to the local music store for like a year and played their electronic drums before I got my first drum kit. And then that began the journey of spending all my paychecks on drum gear. Yeah, and it's not the cheapest instrument.
Definitely not. Hardware as well.
Yeah, everything that goes into it. I remember I was like trying to be really strategic, and I was like, next paycheck, I'm getting a new boom stand, cymbal stand. And then the next paycheck, I need a new top hi-hat because it's cracked. And then I'm gonna restock on sticks. Like it's just and it's like, it's never really, you never really get to a point where you buy the drums and then you're done.
No.
You have to keep getting new drum heads, cymbals, sticks. The good thing is with the actual drums themselves, that in theory you should be good.
Yeah.
You don't really need to replace those.
Once you've got your idea of what you want, obviously there's some replaceables, but that's pretty much you set.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I've got a couple drum kits at home, but they don't go anywhere. You know, they stay there. I'll like switch out heads and
little centerpieces of the living room.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, or I play them. And they don't really break, I guess. I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah, I think that it was good for me to go into the music store and play different snare drums and different types of woods and figure out which kind of sound I like.
Yeah.
And or even just kind of like do some research and listen to a record and then try and figure out what kind of drums they're using or playing, and then
use that as a reference point.
Yeah. So and then I mean, with custom drums, it's easy to kind of like make it look however you want. So you can kind of like, you can kind of just order whatever.
Yeah. Acrylic, maple, steel, anything that you want, any kind of bearing edge is really up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. I love a mahogany snare, but I love acrylic drums too. I think the kit that I was using on the Blurry Face tour, I think it was like a Babinga wood, which I mean that thing sounded amazing.
The new Bandito, that's maple mahogany, right?
Yeah.
Cool. What made you choose maple mahogany?
Well, I wanted that one to. I mean, I think for a custom drum kit, you can't really do acrylic, because like I said, it was really hard for them to print that graphic on there. And so that the Bandito kit I actually use on our B stage during our like arena tour, and I've actually been using it over here too because we have really tight schedules. It's like really hard to just like ship a drum kit.
Yeah.
So I have one that just kind of stays over here, and actually I'm loving how it's sounding. Yeah. I was kind of like. In a way, you feel like, oh, this is my like main drum kit, and this is the one that I like really want to use all the time. And so, I guess being totally honest, coming over and like using that one, it felt like it was like a second string, it was just like the only option, you know. And then sitting behind it and playing it, I was just like, oh my gosh. It sounds unbelievable. So yeah, I think that I've always, I mean, since I was younger, I've just always played maple wood.
It's like the go-to.
Yeah.
Very warm.
But mahogany just adds so much kind of like life and body to it. And so I think it just ended up sounding really good.
We had one in the studio not long back, like testing it out, and the engineers were like, "This is amazing."
Really,
especially for the value as well. It's like a premium drum kit. Maple mahogany sounds great in the studio.
Yeah, and I, like I said, I think with my journey, learning how to play the drums, and then being in high school, I didn't have a lot of money at all.
No.
And my parents intentionally wanted me to pay for the stuff myself, which I'm really thankful, and I think that because I had to do that and really like spend so much time being strategic financially and
that made you do a lot of research. So
it also made me like realize the value of the drums I was playing and the gear I was playing, and it made me. I think it also just made me that much more excited to go down and practice in my parents' basement. Because I was like, well, I spent a lot of money on these, and I'm continuing to spend money. It kind of drove the passion a little bit. And so when I did talk with Mike about a signature kit, I was just like, all right, well, I want to make it as cheap as it possibly, as affordable as it possibly can be, because I'm just thinking of kids that are like me, who are just like, if I would see, I worked at a music store for a while after high school, and I would see these like custom drums come in from different artists, and they're just extremely expensive. And I'm like, man, I like that drummer, and it would be cool to have, like a snare drum like that, but there's no way I'm buying that.
No,
because I feel like I got pretty good at just getting a cheap snare drum and putting a nice drum head on it and
making it sound good.
Making it sound good, yeah. And so even when I was like trying to sell drums for a little bit at the music store. I was terrible at it. It's like a commission-based job, and people would come in and be like, what do I get? And like, should have just been like, buy this $4,000 drum set. But I was like, this one's, $900. It's the cheapest one that we have. But if you just get these drum heads and put them on, then you can make it sound great.
It's usually natural progression, isn't it? You start out with something cheap, and then if it's a real passion, you save up and you get something that's top end. So what kind of advice, I guess, in that respect, would you have for the young drummer? Someone who says, oh man, I just want to be like Josh Dunn when I grow up.
Man. Maybe start with lessons. I never had lessons, and I do look back sometimes, and I'm like, I wonder how much better I could be if I was doing it right from the beginning.
Obviously, it didn't matter in the end for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to get better all the time, trying to learn, and but I will say too, I learned on YouTube. I think YouTube was my lessons, and I think, I guess there's a lot of things I would say. I think it's been important for me to kind of learn all sorts of genres, and not just what you feel completely comfortable with. So if you have kind of a style of music that you like or feel comfortable with, step outside of that sometimes. And there's like months at a time that I'll just dedicate to only listening to gospel music, or only listening to jazz music, and really try and soak in that kind of culture and genres. And there's a lot to learn from that. And I think the more that I like kind of take it in and listen to it, then I find myself adding in fills or like playing a drum beat in a way that I maybe never would before, because I've really like lived in that music for a while. And I play along to music all the time. I just put on headphones and play, and then just like not going to my like go-to songs or album, but something totally different, and learning something different is always good. And I think it's cool to play along to music and try and do my own thing to it, but also learning what that drummer did and playing it very similar to the drummer that recorded it can teach you a lot too.
I think a lot of people learn that way, by ear, like slowing down music or videos and trying to really identify what their favourite artist is doing and trying to emulate that. It's really, I think it's like a rite of passage for a lot of drummers. So I think that's great advice. I guess one more question before I let you go. For your live setup, obviously you've got everything in place. Your drum tech's probably having a busy job with 3 drum kits that he's got to try and keep in tune. But is there any game-changing pieces of gear, anything that you couldn't perform without, or anything that you wouldn't want to perform without?
Oh man, probably my snare drum. I mean, yeah, you need that. That's, I think, probably the most crucial.
So remember did you get like a DW auxiliary seat at one point? You're doing a lot of bopping when you're behind the kit.
Yeah. I started probably in like 2010 or 11. I was watching like a gospel drummer perform, and he was just bouncing all over the place. And I was talking to him after, and I was like, how do you get so much air when you're playing? And he's like, oh, it's this hydraulic throne that basically it just kind of naturally bounces. And I bought one the next day. And that's something that I haven't really gone without. No. There have been times where we'll play like a show with a bunch of rented gear, and they don't have the hydraulic seat, and it's fine, but it feels way different now that I've kind of like gotten used to it. And a lot of people don't like it. I've talked to a lot of other drummers who are just like, I can't do the
bouncy chair.
The bouncing seat. But I just like to move around a lot, I think. And a
lot of flair, showmanship.
Yeah, it's just, I enjoy watching a drummer who just kind of like looks like they're having a good time. Yeah. And I think that the throne adds to that a little bit.
So snare and throne, two essentials.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I would say that the throne is probably one of the biggest things because, you're sitting down for however long.
Yeah.
You want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And I have used some drum thrones that are not very comfortable.
Hurt your back a little bit.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. I've tried to work on posture over the years, but having something that you're just sitting on there for 2 hours or however long is important. And and so that hydraulic one's really nice for that. So
cool. Well, look, it's been awesome to meet you and awesome to have a chat. Have you got any parting words you'd like to?
Play drums.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Play drums.
I'm gonna do it today. But do what you're passionate about. I think that it's important to find something that you love so much that you would just spend hours and hours a day doing and researching and practicing and getting better. And I had a conversation with a friend once who was like, man, what do you do outside of like when you're home from tour and stuff? I was like what hobbies do you have? And I was like, I play drums. I come home, I literally come home from tour and go in my little studio and play drums.
Obsessed.
But I think I would be that way if I was, if I kind of found a different passion early on. So if you can find something that you love, then do it a bunch and be passionate about it and pursue that as much as possible and research and be dedicated.
Good words.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, good talking to you.